Now, everyone has their own way of changing and moving their tongue. So just because I'm doing that doesn't mean that you have to or that you're capable or can't do it even better, okay? So if you move your tongue back and forth, for instance, right in front of you, right in front of the mouthpiece. Sounds like you're fingering real fast. Or if you just use the word tuck. Any way you can change it, okay, your own style. The other thing, you do the same thing as with your fingering. There are lots of ways to finger differently, okay? Now watch the, here, this is how I move my fingers around to get some different sounds. I call it a slide. Just sliding off. The slower, the more you draw out the note, the faster, the... Or you can lift your finger very slow. Whatever is more comfortable for you. I guess what I'm getting back to is get crazy with it, okay? There is no right or wrong way to do this. Just make sure, we're so used to these Western, well, you know, you have to play a B here and E there, and don't, get away from that. Just do what you want to do. When you find a crazy note, you go, how did I do that? Okay, find out how you did it. Control it. Enjoy it. Mix it in. The Native Americans and most of your tribal cultures, when they learned flutes, and the flute is one of the oldest instruments in the world, along with the drum and the rattle, is what they did was they heard sounds. They just imitated sounds. When they heard something they really liked, they tried to figure out how to do it on the flute. So in other words, if you wanted to do an owl, for instance, close all the holes, it's the deepest sound you get, and use your breath. Or the robin, which is kind of spunky, high note. Just mix them together. Or the eagle cry was that when I showed you all the holes closed and you overblow and you release it real fast. Or the hawk. Okay? Anything that you come up with. There's tons of ways to make sounds with this instrument. You can incorporate it into a song. It's the spirit of it, and you are going to have your own way of doing it. It's very individualistic. Trust that. The thing that I really like about this instrument is that it's so individualistic. There is no right or wrong in terms of expressing yourself. Now, one of the things that you're going to find is that there are different flutes in different keys. The one I'm playing here is in the key of G minor. Here we get into that Western stuff. We have to only because some of the people that buy the flute, they're musicians, they want to play with other instruments like a guitar, or they want to have friends they want to play together with. So we take our instruments and we tune them so they're right on the money, okay? There are keys that, for instance, an A, we make a small little A flute. It's great for backpacking. It's a little bit higher pitched. We also make an F sharp flute. Now, that's how I got to this point. The F sharp is a 6-hole flute, okay? And many of the Native American flutes that are on the market, that are people making, are 6-hole flutes. And they're normally a Lakota-style flute, Lakota Sioux flute. The thing with the 6-hole flute is that most people say, oh, wow, this must be better. 6 is more than 5. It's got to be better. Well, that's not necessarily true. Let me show you why. I'm going to go ahead and get one of my 6-hole flutes here. Okay, these instruments are all based on a scale that we call the pentatonic scale. We gave it a name. Tribal cultures, the Native Americans, they just knew it worked for them. They didn't have to have a name for it. We always complicate things, you know that. But anyway, the pentatonic scale, penta meaning 5, so you have 5 major notes. Okay, so why 6 holes? Okay, if you listen to the scale, okay, That's the normal scale. You heard 5 notes. Okay. Now let me use that 6th hole. This is the one I tend to keep closed. Okay, it's the 3rd hole from the top. Now I'm going to use it. You notice it's kind of like da da da. It's off a little bit. That's because it's a half step. It's a half note. Okay. It's not a full note. It's not right in the range of the pentatonic scale. So what you want to do is, in the beginning, keep it closed most of the time. Okay. Now you're going to want to use it, and you use it for kind of ethereal play. They've always used it kind of like. It's very mystical. It's more traditional than anything else. It's a traditional flute, okay, in terms of the 6-hole flute. The Lakota Sioux use these. There's nothing that you can't play on this flute that you cannot play on the 5-hole flute. Okay, you can make the same notes because what you're using at that point is your flats and sharps, like I showed you, where you have to open up a hole in between. You can do the same thing. Most people really like the sound of this flute. It's a little bit deeper, but it's a little bit harder to play. None of these flutes are difficult, just a little bit harder only because you're dealing with that 6th hole, and for whatever reason, that one extra hole just kind of throws us for a loop in the beginning. Okay? So just pay attention to it. Now, we also, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is that we said the air goes up underneath, okay, and it comes out of this bottom hole down here. Well, that makes this piece right here very important because it literally creates the sound for you. It has to be on here really nice and snug. Okay, if it's loose, if you can move it around really, real easily, there's a problem because you have leaks of air all around it. Okay, that means you're not getting enough air coming down the board to give you a nice full sound. So first of all, make sure it's pulled down real tight, snug. When I make my flutes, I put a rubber band underneath the leather strip just to make sure it stays nice and tight. When you position it, the front of the bird should be about ideally a 16th to an 1/8 of an inch just in back of this little rectangular hole right here. Just in back of it. One of the things that you want to do is get to know your flute. So pull it back a little bit too far. A little further, blow into it, see if you like the sound. Push it back further to the front. See what you think if you like the sound of that. Sort of experiment with it so you get a sense of what sounds best to you. In general, I found just pulling about a 16th of an inch just in back of that rectangular hole seems to work best, in general. Now, dealing with other keys. It depends on the sound that you like to get in terms of what you really like in terms of the depth, really. That's what it boils down to. And the way I choose a flute is, first of all, it's got to be easy to play. Okay, if you haven't bought a flute yet, make sure when you pick up this instrument, whether you've played before, anything before or not, it's got to play really easily. Just blow into it. If it makes music for you right away, it's your flute. If it doesn't, that doesn't mean it's a bad flute. It just means it's not your flute, okay? It should play very easily. Let me show you. This is a little flute in the key of A. It's a great little flute because the holes are closer together, so it's really simple to play. And the other thing about it is it's because the barrel, the bore, is so short, it gets a lot of great full sound right away without using your breath a lot, okay? Easy to play. So make sure when you purchase a flute, see what happens, what I found from my personal experience is that when I first started playing, I didn't know what worked and what didn't work. So I just figured I'd pick up a flute, and if it didn't work for me, it must be my fault. Trust your intuition. If it doesn't play for you right away, if it's not easy and smooth, find another one. It's real simple. Just trust yourself on these things. Now, the 4th flute is a bass flute. Most people really like the sound of this. it's a little bit harder to play only because the fingering holes are so large. Now, I've seen very small people, meaning small hands, play this, especially women have a little smaller fingers. They still can play them, and the reason being is because they go flat-fingered, like I suggested in the first place, very flat. People have asked me what flutes they should buy to play with other people. In other words, if they want to buy one for their loved one or a friend of theirs to go out and just play, have enjoy it. My recommendation is make sure you stick with the same key that they have, so it's more harmonic. Otherwise, it just isn't going to work. Once you've played with someone else, you'll get the idea. It's a most wonderful experience. It's a really sharing of energy. And I just go nuts when I get to play with somebody. I really, as a matter of fact, I hope I get to see you all at some point and come by the show or whatever, wherever I'm at, so we can play together. It's a really, really enjoyable experience. The other thing about the care of the flute, I use tongue oil. Use it 2 or 3 coats to harden the wood, treat it. It really, it solidifies the fibers in the wood. You don't have to do that again, but use an oil, if you're going to oil it at all, an oil that's non-toxic or an oil you like the taste of, because you're going to put this thing in your mouth. So be careful not to use something carcinogenic in any way. Oil it down. Just go ahead and wipe it down. You don't have to do it very much, just when it gets dull. It's not going to crack or hurt it, just whenever you like to see it more shiny and take care of it, you feel like you want to give it a little bit of a treat. Keep the flute in a bag, ideally, okay? Sew it out of leather, out of heavy material, out of sheepskin. Make it yourself or have a friend of yours make it, or buy one for that matter. It'll really help preserve the flute. Also, have a shoulder strap on it. So when you go on hikes, it's out of the way. It doesn't damage it. But it really helps to prolong the life of the instrument. This will last you a lifetime, and you'll be able to even give it to your grandchildren, as long as you just give it a minimum amount of care. Don't put it, the sunlight's the worst for it, because any wood, it just dries it out. So don't put it in a car, put it in the trunk of the car. Just common sense. If you're going to put it on a mantle, make sure the sun's not hitting the mantle all the time. Just common sense kind of stuff. As far as the actual playing, you will have a wonderful experience once you take this into a canyon somewhere. Underground parking garage. It's not my favorite place to play, but it sounds absolutely great. Tile bathroom, anything along those lines, because it really, the echoes just take the note and elongates it. This flute just thrives on being played outdoors. On a full moon in your backyard, anything along those lines. Just, it's for self-expression, it's for entertaining yourself, it's just for you. Have fun with it, enjoy it, play lots, practice. Now, don't get me wrong, not in the Western sense of practice, okay? The fun of practice. If it becomes work, put it away. Don't make it work, because otherwise you're not going to enjoy it anymore. Just do it when you feel like. I have one of my flutes is sitting right near my phone. Sometimes I go right by it, I have it on a little flute stand. I'll just play a couple of notes. I put it down. It's weird how it works. It changes my consciousness. It puts me just in touch with just doing something different. So again, have fun, enjoy it, and there is a phone number that's on the cover. If you have any questions about playing, please don't hesitate to call. We're there for you. My purpose is to get as many people to play this flute as possible, only because of the enjoyment that I've gotten out of it. So, thanks very much. I'm Odell Borg. That was the two hawks in the key of A that you just heard. I wanted to get you familiar with most of our flutes. And we also make a double flute very similar to this in the key of G, which is a little bit deeper. It's called the twin tail. All of our flutes that we're recording right now are done very naturally. We don't use any reverb, and that's just a natural sound that we're recording right here in my home. All the flutes come with an audio tape that teaches how to play, a booklet, fingering charts, everything that you need to get started. The first flute that we're talking about is the sparrowhawk in the key of A. It's a wonderful flute because it's very easy and very simple to play. It's a great flute for beginners, as well as those that already have advanced play. It's a 6-hole flute, but we ship it with the leather tie put over the 3rd hole from the top, so that it looks like a 5-hole flute and acts like a 5-hole flute, but as soon as you move the leather, you have a 6-hole flute when you're ready. I'm going to be playing the scale up and down on all the flutes, and then I'll play a little bit of song for you. The next flute that we're talking about is the red-tailed hawk in the key of G. This particular one has a turquoise inlay on it. Again, it's a 6-hole flute. It has the leather tie over the 3rd hole from the top. And when you get ready, just move the leather tie, and you'll have yourself a 6-hole flute. The advantage is you're not missing any, and you're not going to have to purchase 6-hole flutes later on. The wonderful thing about this particular instrument in the key of G is that it plays well with other instruments. Great for guitar, piano. That key lends itself to... It's very versatile because you can play romantic, blues, Native American style. It has a lot of different types of music you can play with it. The Golden Eagle in the key of F sharp is a 6-hole flute. It's the traditional Native American key that most of your Native American recordings are done in, and all of your Native American recordings that are played solo tend to be played in the key of F sharp. It's the longest flute of its kind, of that particular bore size, and because of that, it has to be played much differently than the shorter flutes. It has to be played more subtly, with a lot more breath control, and also keeping in mind that it's not going to have the same response as a short flute. The advantage of a short flute is that the sound is created very easily. The longer the flute, the more finesse and the more control one has to have. So it's a different style of flute, and you play different types of music on it. We make 2 different bass flutes. The condor bass. This is the condor bass in the key of D. And D is the lowest flute that we make. It's a little bit harder to play in the fact that it has larger fingering holes, so you have to play a lot more flat-fingered. So the key is make sure that you put your fingers very flat on the hole itself. But it's a wonderful flute because it has a lot of depth. It's a very moody instrument. And you'll find that it's great for meditation and just relaxation. The other condor bass flute is in the key of E. It's a little bit shorter, and that's a big advantage for those that have smaller hands. The holes are much closer and together, and also they are a little bit smaller, and we found that most anyone can play this bass flute. It's a slightly higher key than the D, but you'll hear that it has a wonderful sound, and also has a very easy transition between the 5-hole and the 6-hole, and I'll play that for you so you get an idea. Here it is playing as a 5-hole flute. As a 6-hole flute. Our higher pitch flutes, the Merlin in the key of C. This flute we make out of maple, and primarily because it's a great backpacking hiking flute. It's a good size to fit in your backpack. It's very, very easy to play, just like the Sparrowhawk. It's a shorter bore, and it has just a sweet sound, but also a lot of durability. And this one is a 5-hole flute. The last flute is the Kestrel in the key of D. Again, it's a 5-hole flute. It's the smallest flute we make. Very easy to play, but it is a very lively flute. High-pitched flutes tend to be much more lively. They tend to have more energy to them when they get played. So I'll give you an example of that. Again, I wanted to mention all of our flutes do come with an audio tape, a booklet, and a fingering chart. And if you have any further questions in regards to this, please do give us a call at our 1-800 number, 394-1523. Thanks for listening.